your nice presentation.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you so much. And thank you for your nice presentation also.
Hi, thank you.
Thanks.
Welcome, Dr. Sara, and also Ms. Anila. Mr. Ibrahim, you're also with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. The first question I would like to ask to Ms. Anila, we've received it in Arabic, so just allow me to first say the question in Arabic before translating it. The question says, ما هي أنظمة الجودة المعتمدة لدى نستلة? In other words, what are the quality assurance systems that are being used and employed at Nestle? Please, could you unmute your microphone?
Can you hear me now?
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. So basically, the quality assurance systems we have, we are certified to the Food Safety Management System, 22,000. We also have the Nestle Integrated Management Systems. I also saw the question relating to the QR code from the same person. And basically, the QR code is a very, let's say, is a function that can be used and a very helpful tool, basically. So if you have a QR code assigned to a SOP and that is pasted at the location of use, the operator or the team member can just go scan with their mobile the QR code, and then the latest version, because usually you have printouts. What happens is, you have an older version, they don't have the updated version, etc. So when you use the QR code, the most latest current version of the SOP opens up in their mobile, so they can read the SOP, see what has to be followed, and go on. Similarly, in our quality assurance lab, we also have these QR codes that are pasted on the equipment itself. So when the analysts have to do their normal routine checks or verifications for equipments, they just scan the QR code using the tablets, and the form automatically pops up, and they just enter the data. So it's traceable. You have, you don't have to keep multiple forms. You're not duplicating work, because sometimes people take the recordings on a paper and then go write it in a form separately. So all those is eliminated. So QR code is something that has really helped us in terms of eliminating duplication of work, and to ensure that we have the most easiest, the current version of the documents available at the point of use and very easy to access. And especially with COVID, there's zero contact.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the answer. Mr. Umar, the question is directed to you. Are there any standards issued to overcome the food safety consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic?
Thank you very much for the question. We usually conduct wide research when we receive questions like that, but initially we have encountered something from April 2020, a ministerial decree number 57, which states that imported products does not have to include Arabic on their labels, and they're only allowed to have only English. And it was post the pandemic, in order to support manufacturers or help manufacturers or allow them to smoothly import their products into Oman without complications, to counter any food safety or, let's say, food security issue that may appear in the future. I think that was a really good and proactive approach, but there must be more that require more research for us to identify and discuss.
Okay, thank you. The other question says that you've encountered the quality standards in Omani regulations. So have you come across the Omani food and nutrition laws by any chance? And if so, what is your general evaluation of these regulations?
Okay, so nutrition standards in the region here are not, in many cases, similar, but not exactly the same. Although it also requires a bit of research and collection of documentations just to understand if there's particular circular or particular regulation in Oman itself. But as per our current understanding, right now in Oman, it follows the nutrition labeling system of GSO or regulation of GSO. And it is worth to mention here that the GSO nutrition regulation does not follow US or EU regulations or standards, but a kind of a hybrid between both, which is sometimes a little bit complicated for manufacturers, but most of the times with the proper interpretation of the GSO regulation, it becomes a bit easier to understand the standards of the nutrition labeling and the requirements it has.
Thank you so much, Mr. Amr. Mr. Ibrahim, you've received the question in Arabic, so just allow me to say it in Arabic first. هل المواد الخام محلية? As in, are the raw materials being used local?
شكرا جزيلا. Thank you very much for the question. Of course, the raw materials that we use are imported raw materials from different destinations globally. We import wheat from Canada, from Australia, from Europe, and we also import other grains related to the animal feed from Argentina, Brazil, and also from Europe, and again from Australia. The local products we recently launched, and that's part of the slides that I've mentioned there. We are going to enhance the local farmers. It's one of those elements where we said during the pandemic, one of the learnings was there is to enhance the local farmers. However, it's still a long way for us. We have recently launched the purchase of 830 tons from the local farmers in Oman under the umbrella of the ministry. And basically this is breaking the ice. The journey is still yet to go. And we look forward for more from the R&D side, more from the other entrepreneurs in Oman, and also the farmers to really look into having a good control on the cost of the raw material. Because currently what we purchase is 1/5 the cost of the local raw material in Oman. And that's again because of the volumes in Oman that we are having are very small and limited. I hope that answers the question. I can do it in Arabic if you want.
It's all good because we have the translator with us on board. I also received the other question. It says هل لديكم خطة للإحلال وعمل مزارع للقمح لاستدامة المطاحن? As in, do you have a plan for substituting and initiating or creating wheat farms to ensure the sustainability of the mills?
Well, this question is asked a lot, and most recently we were hosted in a program in one of the channels, and the same question keeps repeating itself. We are running a business where we have shareholders, and also there is abundance of certain raw materials. So for me, commercially, I will not go and procure, even if it's available. It's not available today. So, but even if it's available, it has to be at a competitive price. We encourage the farmers to do it. We are closely working with the government institutes, whether on the R&D side or within the ministry itself, in terms of supporting these farmers. The company is going into a new venture where we are going to have a company that tackles these issues. So we are creating a whole company as an incubator and an R&D. It is on the final stages. Soon it will be launched, and this is for the conference, the first time I mention it publicly. But this thing is going to be one of those pillars for the change that as a nation we've always been looking for. So it will solve a lot of issues. It will solve a lot of recycling issues. It will solve a lot of energy saving issues, preliminary in the food sector, poultry, milling, and also agriculture.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ibrahim, for sharing the exclusive information with us as well. This is a question to Dr. Mohammed. What is the price influence on consumers' choices? Is it true that they tend to buy more expensive products as they think they are of better quality?
Thank you, Noura, for the question. And actually, the consumer search or the market search is the initial stage for any NPD products. So what we usually do, we study the market, all the competitors, their prices, their ingredients. This is from one side. So our product should be within that range uh, uh, from the market search. The last stage is actually the launching of the product. And before the launching of the product, there's something called concept analysis. In the concept analysis, we are surveying consumer within companies. That's one side. Let's say outsource company, for example, or maybe from the team itself, from the MBD team or R&D department team, because part of the R&D there is marketing and sales. So the price determinants, it will be based on production. Now, Ibrahim, you also mentioned about production capacity, the marginal profit, the marginal cost. But again, the market search and the success will be relying on consumer preference, choices, and behavior. So the consumer behavior, not only in one sales, some of them they will make a mistake and they will think about the marginal utilities of consumers. But this is a mistake, maybe because the consumer within the price, if it is not affordable price for them, they will not repeat the purchase. And that's another challenge. So the test or the concept testing is important to look onto all those dimensions, factors, and to come up with a final conclusion of the success of your NBD products. As an NBD team, you should link to all those multifactorial analysis, and you need to come up with a final conclusion of a successful product in the market. And of course, this could be in parallel with the classic products. The classic product always a success, but the NBD product also, it needs lots of analysis, and the success is an important part of any NBD product. Thank you. I hope the answer is clear.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Mohammed. Dr. Sara, I have a question for you. Would like to just say it in Arabic first. هل تؤثر هذه الطفيليات على جودة الأسماك العمانية أم أن الدراسة خلصت إلى أن الأسماك العمانية ذات جودة عالية؟ In other words, regarding the parasites you mentioned, do they affect the quality of Omani fish, or did the study conclude that the Omani fish are of high quality?
Okay, so I mentioned in my presentation that the infection rates and intensities are very low in Omani fish. So far, from what we have seen in the results, the Omani fish quality is still very high compared to other regions. So it doesn't affect the quality of Omani fish.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you. Another question, Dr. Sara. هل الإصابة تكون فردية أم عامة؟ لأن ذلك يؤثر في إقرار صلاحية الشحنات المصدرة للخارج. In other words, are these injuries of the parasites, for example, affecting the fish? Does it affect it individually, or is it more general? Because this affects the decisions to export to the outside.
Yeah, that's totally correct. Because our prevalence rates are really low, so the infection rates are like sporadic, like they are scattered. It's not like they are concentrated in a number of fish. So far what we have seen that one fish will have more parasites and the other will not have any parasites. So yeah, we cannot decide at this stage of the research because we are still collecting more samples and we didn't analyze all the samples in Oman. But so far, yeah, there's no effect at all.
Okay, thank you. I am just checking if we've received any more. A second.
Okay.
here we go. We have a few more. 1 second, please. I believe this question is to Dr. Mohammed. Are there any studies or proven facts that the virus survives in hot temperatures that is above 70 degrees Celsius, which is the cooking temperatures?
Thank you, Ms. Noor, about this question. In fact, there is many research going on about the temperature, the optimum temperature of the coronavirus, but mainly the virus will not be survivor at processing temperature. So mainly the virus need very low temperature, and it can be like have long time as a functions virus in frozen temperature. There is now research going on about food packaging, as I mentioned in my presentation, that the risk maybe came from this point. But when we cook the food thoroughly and we keep the food in good condition after cooking, then there is no any possibility to have survivor virus.
Thank you. Dr. Sara, I have another question for you. I will just say it in Arabic first. في ظل الثقافة الحالية بنوع المطاعم الموجودة في السلطنة بتقديم الطعام الني مثل الأسماك، هل يتم رقابتها وأخذ عينات من قبل المركز لفحصها وتأكيد خلوها من الباراسايتس؟ Allow me to just say it in English again. So because of the current culture spreading more in Omani restaurants regarding eating raw food, does the center take samples to test them and ensure that they are clear of parasites?
Yes, we try to take samples from local fish markets. So we know that the suppliers of these restaurants are mainly from certain local fish markets, especially in Mutrah. So we try to focus our efforts in this fish market, and we try to focus our efforts on fish that are known as popular in those kind of food products, like tuna, which is most popular as a sushi. So yeah, we try to our best to include these fish in our research projects.
Thank you so much. And allow me please to take one last question. Dr. محمد الرزاقي، هل يتم دعم المنتجات التي قام بها الطلبة وهي مميزة جدا ليتم طرحها في السوق كمنتجات خاصة وجميلة من قبل الجامعة؟ As in, do you take these products that have been done or made by the students, which are very excellent, so that they can be produced and sold in the market from the university directly?
Thank you so much, Nora, and thank you for the question. For the MPD product, they usually started from the educational budget as part of their curriculum. This is one thing. Then we have linked the course to a technology transfer center in SQU for incubation, and they agreed on that, and they attended a number of meetings with the students. This is from one side. The other side, from the innovation center, industrial innovation center, Madain, of course, they provide us with a hand. They support the students after the completion of the prototyping with a minimum scale up. Let's say with Suna Oman, they could come up with a product, and they could move from the ideation concept, prototyping, to scale up production and commercialization stage. So that's from this side. We also receive a number of, you could say, tentative calls from a number of businesses, their willingness to adopt the project and to make some kind of commercial agreement with the innovators. They are food developers, so the students, they have the complete rights of their products. This, of course, it belongs to the students. My task as an instructor of this course is to show them the right methodological approach and to make within linkages with the industrial part, that's the Industrial Innovation Center, as well as with the property rights or intellectual property rights, that's in terms of Technology Transfer Center within UNESCO. So now, Oman, I think I made some tentative also. They are willing to support any kind of research or basic research in product development to come up to commercialization as a logistic as well as a machinery support. So I hope the answer is clear. This is from one side. From the SQ side, we also encourage the students to move from product manufacturing stage to more research stage. So I also encourage the students to do accelerated shelf life testings. And this accelerated shelf life testing is kind of a controlled experiment where they also change within the intrinsic and physical chemical properties of the product. Also, they could change in terms of additives of the product to come up with some shelf life marginalization measurements. With this accelerated shelf life testing methodology, they could also assess the quality of their MPD product, and they could move toward more research-based analysis. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Muhammad, for your valuable answer. And I would just like to thank you all for joining us today for the conference, and look forward to join you again in the future, inshallah. We will now conclude our Q&A question session and just go for a quick break for 10 minutes. And we will return again for theme 4, so please stick around. Thank you.